Have you ever noticed how certain people command respect without saying a word? They don't shout, beg, or chase after others. Instead, they simply withdraw, and suddenly everything changes. The energy shifts. People begin to question, to pursue, to wonder. What if you possessed this same power? What if, instead of reacting immediately to every situation, you chose silence over automatic responses and strategic retreat over emotional explosions? This is where true transformation begins, when you stop being perpetually available, emotionally, physically, and psychologically. The world around you enters a state of crisis because people have grown accustomed to controlling you through your reactions, impulses, and predictability. But the moment you choose to withdraw, the entire game changes. Those who thought they knew you realize they understand nothing about your depths. Carl Jung observed that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves. When you become inaccessible, observe who becomes desperate, irritated, or attempts to provoke emotional reactions from you. This reveals far more about them than about you, specifically how much you've been unknowingly manipulated. You've been conditioned to give yourself away to please others, maintain peace, and avoid losing people who were never truly committed to you. With every forced yes, every immediate response, and every emotional reaction, you surrender a piece of your vital energy. By day's end, what remains? Exhaustion, frustration, and an inexplicable emptiness. The reason is clear. You've become too available for those who don't deserve even a moment of your silence. This isn't about turning your back on the world. It's about choosing yourself. It's about embracing what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole, authentic, and complete. This transformation begins when you understand that silence can be more powerful than 1,000 arguments, and that conscious withdrawal is an act of strength, not escape. Consider this. How long will you allow others' emotions to control you? How long will you react like a puppet whenever someone triggers your wounds? Perhaps it's time to cut those strings, to withdraw, and to become a mystery. When you stop being constantly available, everything transforms. From childhood, you've been taught to always be present, respond quickly, please others, and say yes, even when you wanted to say no. You've been conditioned to believe your worth lies in your availability to others. Here's a truth rarely spoken with such clarity. Excessive availability isn't a virtue, it's a prison. As long as you believe you must be accessible at all times, you'll be manipulated, drained, and discarded once you're no longer useful. Constant availability makes you predictable, and predictable things become tools. People use you as an emotional emergency button, pressing it when they need attention, relief, or validation, then shelving you until the next crisis. You remain trapped in the illusion that being present for everyone will make someone present for you, but this equation never balances. Jung spoke of the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted, loved, and recognized. This mask keeps you excessively available. You say, "I'm fine," while suffocating, respond to messages immediately despite exhaustion, and constantly explain, justify, and defend yourself as if you owe the world something. Being perpetually available is a subtle form of self-abandonment, a disguised way of seeking approval, avoiding rejection, and trying to control others' perceptions of you. This control comes at a devastating price. Your peace and vital energy, distributed as if infinite when it's actually finite and precious. People who demand your constant availability don't want you. They want what you provide: validation, company, distraction, emotional comfort. When you change, set boundaries, or refuse to react predictably, these same people become irritated and accusatory. It's not because you've changed, it's because you've stopped being functional for their needs. The cruelest truth: the more available you are, the less others value you. What's abundant becomes commonplace. No one respects what they don't have to earn or values what's always present. Jung viewed the human psyche as an energy system, where every thought, emotion, and action consumes psychic energy. The critical question is, are you choosing where your energy flows, or are you letting the world decide? Every impulsive reaction wastes psychic energy. When you defend against unworthy criticism, respond to provocations to prove you're right, engage in pointless arguments, or try to please those who don't value you, you're spending inner strength on what doesn't nourish you. Jung was clear. What you resist persists. The more you react, the more you bind yourself to destructive patterns. People living in emotional exhaustion aren't weak, they're misdirected. And exhausted people become vulnerable, making them easy prey for manipulative and opportunistic individuals. A healthy psyche knows how to conserve energy within the system. This means saying no without guilt, remaining silent without feeling cowardly, and observing before acting. True power isn't in reacting, it's in choosing when and how to act based on deep self-knowledge. Well-guarded psychic energy creates presence. You enter a room and command respect without uttering a word. Poorly managed energy makes you invisible, reactive, and fragile. And the world shows no mercy to those who surrender easily. Begin observing your triggers. What makes you react automatically? What destabilizes your center? These are the exact points where your energy escapes and where your work must focus. The goal isn't to become cold or indifferent, but to be selective and sovereign over yourself. When you conserve your energy, you shatter the projections others place upon you, and this disturbs many people. Most emotional responses are programmed, and those who understand this manipulate you easily. Opportunistic people don't need to shout or threaten. They simply trigger your exposed buttons and you react predictably. Through psychological projection, people project onto others what they cannot see in themselves. The more emotionally available you are, the more you become a blank canvas for these projections. That friend who only calls during crises, that partner who always needs rescuing, that person who praises you only while you're useful, none of this is coincidental. They're not relating to you, they're relating to their idea of you, to the role you've agreed to play. You agree because you fear disappointing others, not being loved or being abandoned. The modern world is noisy. Everyone wants to be heard, respond quickly, win pointless debates, and prove their points even at the cost of their peace. But there exists a power few know and fewer master. Conscious, strategic, brutally lucid silence. This isn't passive or cowardly silence, but amplified presence. Jung saw silence not as void, but as fertile ground for inner transformation. When you stop reacting, you begin observing. Through observation, you see previously hidden patterns. Emotional repetitions, manipulation games, cycles of self-sabotage. Silence enables lucidity, and lucidity threatens those who live to control you. Notice how some people panic when you don't respond, don't explain yourself, or simply disappear. It's not because they miss you, it's because your silence removes their narrative control. True silence isn't voice absence, it's mastery over your own energy. It's refusing to be dragged down by others' emotions and consciously choosing not to engage in unworthy battles. Jung emphasized that individuation requires this distancing, because only in silence can you listen to yourself without the world's interference. Silence has a price. It distances you from people who only valued your functional role, makes you incomprehensible to those who saw you only through their projections, and may make you seem cold or distant. But these are reactions from those who never wanted to engage with your depth, only your utility. The more you mature, the more selective you become with words, understanding that each sentence is an energetic investment. Not everyone deserves access to your truth. Sometimes silence isn't retreat, it's sovereignty, the language of those who no longer need to prove anything to anyone. Understanding this intellectually means nothing without practical application. If you continue saying yes when you mean no, responding to bothersome messages, participating in empty conversations, and maintaining relationships that exist, only through inertia, awareness becomes another form of self-deception. True transformation begins with firm decisions to become selective through emotional discipline. Conscious unavailability means no longer being accessible to anyone, at any time, for any reason. It's taking control of your energy, time, and peace through small but powerful actions. Not responding immediately, breathing before reacting, leaving discussions before being dragged into chaos, turning off your phone without guilt, saying, "Not today," "I'm not interested," or "I won't get involved." Most importantly, you don't need to justify your absence or explain your silence. You owe nothing to anyone but yourself. Every individuation process involves what Jung called sacred isolation, not depressive withdrawal, but a time of inner retreat where you relearn to listen to your own voice without world interference, rebuilding your identity from your own center rather than others' perceptions. Observe who distances themselves when you become more reserved, who tries provoking you when you stop reacting, who accuses you of changing when you finally protect yourself. These aren't signs you're wrong. They're proof you've begun freeing yourself. Conscious unavailability forms the foundation of self-determination. When you say no to the world, you say yes to yourself. When you withdraw from toxic environments, you affirm that your peace outweighs any false connection. When you stop being available to everyone, profound transformation occurs. First comes uncomfortable silence that seems to scream within you. You question if you've made the right choice, if you're being too harsh, if you're losing people who cared about you. Gradually, this silence transforms, beginning to cleanse, calm, and heal. Then comes solitude, not the solitude of absence, but the solitude of total self-presence. This is the solitude of the strong, of those who no longer betray themselves to keep others close. In this space where confusion once lived, clarity enters. Where anxiety dwelled, peace emerges. Where neediness existed, a new kind of strength takes root, the strength of being whole within yourself. Jung taught that individuation requires temporary distance from the collective, disidentification from masks, and walking alone for a while. This is exactly what happens when you choose conscious unavailability. You're not fleeing the world, you're returning to yourself. You stop being a reactor and become a creator. You cease being shaped by circumstances and begin shaping reality from within. People uncomfortable with your absence reveal they never wanted you. They wanted the role you played. You will lose people, but you'll find yourself. You'll distance from places but reconnect with your essence. You'll become misunderstood, but finally begin being respected. When you're no longer available for everything, you become valuable, rare, and unforgettable. This is rebirth, the beginning of a life where you're no longer available for emotional crumbs, mind games, or voids disguised as affection. Now you only accept what resonates with your peace, truth, and wholeness. True self-love begins when you choose yourself, even if it means being alone for a while. The question remains, are you ready to be misunderstood, rejected, or even disliked in the name of your inner freedom? Are you willing to pay the price of being authentically you? The journey toward wholeness begins with a single choice, choosing your peace above all else.